Brisbane town in Queensland gets a new law on April 7th for them cyclists so they can cycle safely. Friends, now, as you all know from our videos, there have been some incidents in Melbourne town with the dooring of the cyclists there, inadvertently or otherwise, by the fine folks down there using the taxi cabs. And apparently in that incident, from what I understand, the taxi cab driver told him not to exit. And there was an altercation when the passenger refused to give his details of his name and such to the cyclist. But up here in Queensland, we're all civilised and such. Conclusive proof Mr. Newman is one of the greatest premiers in the history of Australia, friends. He has enacted a law with the help of his parliament here to ensure that cyclists get 1 metre and 1.5 metres. If the speed limit is over 60 k's, you got to give them 1 metre if you're passing a cyclist, if you're on the road in a car. And interesting thing is that, friends, is that folks don't like it. And I'm reading an article here from the Brisbane Times, Cyclist Passing Distance Rules Doomed to Fail, by Ms. Madonna King, a leading journalist and commentator. She was an award-winning morning presenter on 612 ABC Brisbane and is a 5-time author. And her column is That Thinkin' Feeling. And she don't like the idea of this law in the sense of the way she describes it. It says that it's only going to escalate tensions. Because if, for example, she says, quote, let's take Cavendish Road, Cooperoo as an example. It's 60 k's in speed zone, right? Mass wasn't etc. The lane is 2.79 meters wide. Yes, I measured it. My car, including the rear vision mirror, sits at 2.21 meters wide, which gives only 58 centimeters for a single cyclist riding along the gutter now. That's why there are so many spats even before the laws commence. Sharing the road already requires motorists to cross the middle lane to safely pass a cyclist. Now, what do you think of this? She says further down, it is a recipe for anger and accidents. Oh, that ain't good. What do you think, friends? Now, what I know is that a lot of different debates about this. She talks about the cars being this wide and the road being that wide, and you got to give them a meter. I don't think that's enough. Here's the thing, friends. Folks are saying that these cyclists are just a bunch of pansies and getting in their fancy MAMIL outfits. You know what a MAMIL is? Men, middle-aged men in lycra, friends, and they all like to dress up in their fancy outfits, pretend they're doing the Tour de France and such and our fine roads here. Now, I don't understand because I don't leave the CBD. Sometimes I drive my SUV across to South Brisbane, but I don't go to the ghettos very much of our fine ghetto suburbs out there. Too dangerous. But I don't think many folks understand what's at play here and what's at stake. And I'd ask y'all to consider sharing this video in case the big black helicopters come to get me and such for saying this. But I don't think the big businesses out there, the big fuel, big oil, likes the cyclists much because they ain't spending no money on the gasoline. And I'd like y'all to share the video and give me a thumbs up before them big black helicopters come to get me. And you too for watching this. But I do know that, as I understand, them cyclists are all paranoid and such from going out on the roads and being afraid of getting hit by a car and ended up in a hearse or worse. And so they're taking the fancy drugs and such to calm their nerves. So maybe Big Pharma likes them. I don't know. And then again, maybe Big Pharma likes them car drivers better because they're always taking the tablets and such to, and please share the videos before the big helicopters, black helicopters come to get y'all, and me too. saying this and thinking this, but I think the big pharma probably would appreciate them car drivers because they got them tablets to take because they're always sitting down there, big fat asses all the time, driving from one takeaway shop to another, getting their drive-through food and such, and getting big fat asses, and so they end up getting heart attacks and diabetes and such, and losing limbs and such, and ending up taking them tablets. So who knows? One thing I do know is this from reading this article and looking at the photo there, and that is that a lot of fine folks here in Brisbane town are big bones. And a lot of our women folks are famous here for being BBWs, big, beautiful women. And some of them are the biggest BBWs in the world, friends, right here in Brisbane town. And let me tell you, maybe, Miss King, the whole problem would stop if people started walking everywhere, catching public transits and such, and not driving their 1 meter wide asses and their 2.21 meter wide cars and their on them 2.79 meter wide roads. But hey, well, what I know, at the moment, I got a special friend from the wilds of Asia, and her ass ain't that wide at all. But just don't tell my wife. Okay, friends, what do you think of this? Cyclists and the new laws in Queensland, and fat asses in cars, and fat asses in cars driving carelessly and hitting people on bikes. What do you think of that, friends? Who's right and who's wrong? Tell them to eject the truth below. Rate, subscribe, give me a thumbs up before them black helicopters come to get you. Get you all and get me too. Bye for now.